Welcome to Family Unmuted, where Ruben and Tiana Estrada open the door to their lives as real estate brokers, owners of a family business, parents, and everything in between. This is our world, Unmuted.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Family Unmuted. We are season 2, episode 4 today, and the word of this podcast is accountability.
Not our favorite word.
A very love-hate relationship with that word. So the first question that we always ask is, when you hear that word, what does it make you think, Isiah? When you hear the word accountability, what does that mean to you?
It's not so deep for me. It's just do.
Just do?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you mean by that?
Like, just do. Like, don't even think. Just do the thing you say you're gonna do.
Oh.
Okay.
It's more of like something to keep you towards your goal. So like without it, you're like going back and forth instead of staying on the road. And it just keeps you grounded and reminds you of the reason why you want your goal. And despite like what you go through, it'll like really let you know that you're doing something wrong if you're off that track.
So does it feel good when you hear that word, or?
It's good that you have it, but it sucks that you have to have it.
So you're big on accountability.
I do. I like the word.
What does it mean to you?
Well, we were always taught that accountability, if you break down the word, it's account. So account means keep track. And then when we want to add accountability, it's because we want to keep track of what's happening, and then that gives us the feedback. So keep track and feedback. It really has no emotion. It's what did you get done, and what do you need to do next based on what you got done. That's it. There's no emotion to it. We tie the emotion to it.
Right.
Because we're like, oh, if we're not on track, then it makes us feel we
Guilty.
either get down or we get guilty or something.
Mm-hmm.
But the word accountability has no emotion attached to it. We attach the emotion. We either make it feel good or we make it feel bad or whatever. So it's keep track and feedback.
I think it's because accountability comes with these expectations that you set on yourself right away. Because once you set a goal, you set this expectation that you're going to hit it and what it's going to look like. But accountability lets you know all the imperfections you have with that goal.
Well, I think the accountability is like a scoreboard. That's it. So how do you know you're winning the game if you don't know the score?
Do you think that you are capable of being held accountable to only yourself?
No.
Because people fight accountability partners,
Mm-hmm.
business coaches, any kind of coaches. People fight that piece because they think that being accountable to myself is enough. Like, I'll keep myself on track. What are the pros and cons to that?
Pros are that, like, a partner doesn't really care what you feel.
If you don't have the right partner,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, like, they'll just keep you no matter what you feel like, oh, well, do this no matter how you feel. You know what I mean?
Well, an accountability partner, whenever I've had one, it's just about, okay, so what did you get done? How do you feel about that? Okay. Well, what do you need to do next? Okay. Do you have all the tools necessary? Do you have all the knowledge necessary to do what you need to do next? Okay, great.
I prefer the word coach rather than accountability partner for some reason.
Well, a coach can bring some accountability, but an accountability partner is just kind of like, all right, what did you do, and what did you need to do next? A coach would be like, oh, if you don't know what to do, then I can probably coach you into what you need to do next, and I can help you get there. A coach has some accountability built in, yeah. And no, I don't think we can hold ourselves accountable, otherwise we'd be totally fulfilled. And we're never satisfied or fulfilled, so we always need accountability to get us to the next level. So I don't think we can hold ourselves accountable.
So why do you feel that so many of us, including the four of us in this room, struggle with accountability?
What do you mean struggle?
Well, I think a lot of people don't seek out an accountability partner, or they don't take the time to get really clear on goals and what they want, because then that means there's tracking and accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think some people do and some people don't?
Because I think we lie to ourselves. I think we say we want to be accountable, but we don't want to be accountable.
Because it requires effort.
It requires effort, energy. Yeah, I mean, holding somebody accountable it's tough.
I think holding someone accountable is tough because it's uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable. Yeah. Like, who wants to be told that you're not getting your stuff done?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be told that. But it's necessary if you truly want to bring out the best and be the best that you want to be, that you can be. If you want to fulfill what your potential is, then the accountability needs to be there. Otherwise, you can just be average.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're okay with being average, that's fine. You don't need accountability. You just do what you do every day and be okay with it. But if you want to be not average, you want to be above average, I think you need the little push. You need that accountability piece that says, hey, remember why you're doing this.
So how do you find an accountability partner?
Well, it could just be somebody that you trust or somebody that you don't trust. It could be anybody. There's no emotion to an accountability partner.
Well, I think there's no emotion to an accountability partner for you and for a lot of people.
Okay.
I'm just saying there's not a one size fits all for an accountability partner, because there can be times where there's things being communicated, and if you have tied emotion to accountability, then that can keep you from going forward. So I do think that there has to be some sort of understanding your style and how to communicate. I mean, we've talked about the Strengths Finder thing and your love languages and all of those kind of things. I think sometimes emotion does play a part in finding an accountability partner.
Okay. I disagree with that, but that's fine.
Well, you don't want to dread dread going to your accountability partner.
Why? If you got all your stuff done, wouldn't you be excited about it?
Yeah, but
You only dread it when you haven't done what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're like, dang, I can't wait for my accountability meeting because I nailed it this year or this week or whatever. I'm excited to have that conversation because I did everything I was supposed to do.
Mm.
Now we only want somebody that's fun, emotionally tied or connected to you that makes you feel good about not accomplishing your goals. Right?
Mm-hmm.
My opinion only. But
Right.
Yeah.
I think on the flip side of that, though, is like sometimes if you have that different personality accountability coach, and you are excited and you did, and then they're like, okay, next week. That can kind of be a downer too. Like, does your accountability partner also celebrate when you do have good times, or is it just the same emotion all through every time?
I don't know.
And are they there for that?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess I mean, if you want them to celebrate with you, what does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't do what you're supposed to do, what does that look like?
What does it look like?
I don't know. I want somebody that's more even keel. Like, hey, there's no emotion tied to it. Like, you either did what you're supposed to do or you didn't. And if you did, great. What do you need to do next? And if you didn't, great. What do you need to do next? I'm sorry. It's just not that exciting about this. Accountability is not exciting. I mean, I don't know. It's just that's my style.
That's how I feel about it too. Like, there's not so much emotion in it. It's just
It's
like
not. It's either you did it or you didn't. You're either growing or you're not. And if I was your accountability partner, I'd be I don't want to hear about the excuses. It's either you did it or you didn't. We're all about results, right?
Yeah.
So whatever the results are, bad or good, they're the results. Your circumstance, your reasons, your excuses on why you did or didn't do it is irrelevant. It's all about the results.
Does an accountability partner have to have sort of be a mentor in some aspect? Like, does it have to understand what the goal is in order to be your accountability partner?
Well, I think you have to communicate what you want to be held accountable to.
Mm-hmm.
So what are those things, that list of things that you want to be held accountable to?
What if you don't know those things?
Well, it'd be hard to hold you accountable to something that you don't know. I mean, that won't work.
So that's when a coach comes in, or?
Well, I guess a coach could come in and say, well, let's look at somebody that has accomplished what you want to accomplish, and let's see what they've done, and let's use that as a model, and then whatever's in that model, that's what we can hold you accountable to.
Was it hard for you to be accountable when you're starting off?
Yes. Still is. I hate it.
Doesn't seem like you hate it.
Do you think this is love? This energy of love?
You're very passionate about it.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean I love it. No.
You love the hard things, though.
But I don't. Or else I'd have an accountability partner today, and I don't.
Why not?
It's a good question.
Is that someone you hire? Or
I don't know.
Well, it has to be someone you know if you're not going to be paying them.
Or it could be a stranger. Sometimes strangers are the best because they're not going to get caught up in your excuses and your emotion. They're not going to let you.
Like a stranger, like you meet in Starbucks, or
that's a stranger.
Yeah.
Why would a stranger want to help you?
Well, they never said that. Well, let's say like you went to a grocery store and you're like got along with this guy. He's like, oh hey, I have a favor to ask. Can you be my accountability partner and just meet with me weekly on things I want to accomplish?
I think it could really be anyone except a spouse. Mm-hmm. Spouses or significant others, it doesn't work. Or a parent, or anytime you have that deeper connection with somebody, that doesn't count as accountability partner. But you could walk out here and ask John and be like, hey, I want to do this year. It's really important to me. Would you do me a favor? Can I check in with you once a week? And I just want you to ask me these 3 questions. Give him the questions, and then he asks you. This is the same thing as a physical trainer or anything like that. When you go and see your trainer 1 time a week or 3 times a week, they're going to say, did you eat this? Did you do this? Did you do this? And I think at the end of the day, like going back to your point of having to have, if you just want to be average, which is fine, and not have an accountability, can you, being a person of faith and spirituality, aren't we always accountable? Like, you can't escape accountability.
Yeah, yeah, certainly. I think I know where you're going with that.
I just feel like people maybe want to label it as, well, I don't want to set these big goals. I don't want to do these things because then I have to be accountable, and I don't want to go through that accountability process. But at the end of the day, we're all accountable to someone, something.
Do you think being responsible is tied into accountable?
I think you were somehow blending the two of accountability and consequences. So there's always consequences to our actions or non-actions. So in essence, we're sort of held accountable to what we do or don't do. Because if you don't do it, there's a consequence. Right? Mm-hmm. So in essence, you can't run away from accountability. I think we use accountability in a way to help us improve. I don't think we ever want to be accountable to being the worst that we can be.
Mhm.
Right? So we only want to bring in accountability as if we want to get better. But there are consequences to non-action and action. And there requires just the same amount of energy to do things better than to not do something. It's the same energy.
So is accountability essential to growth?
It's not essential, but it's hard to get there without it.
I agree.
Is it growth or change? Do you think?
Well, you can change for the worse.
Yeah.
I think growth.
Like if you had a friend that you didn't see for a couple years and they came to you and they were super athletic and they were, highly educated or whatever, and then they came to you and they were complete opposite of that. Like maybe they had gained a few pounds. Maybe they're not as sharp or they're not as positive. Like what would you think about that?
They went downward.
They went downward.
Yeah.
Right. So then if you wanted to help them, what would you say? If they're like, "Hey, Nathaniel, I really want to get back to where I was. Can you help me?" What would you suggest for them?
Just follow the steps they took previously to get to where they were.
Yep.
Start somewhere.
And then what?
Be accountable. So you, yeah.
Right.
Who is this person?
Isaiah's really concerned about this person.
You want to find the person.
Is it another business owner, or is it? Because I feel like someone who's just. I mean, what makes them go downwards? Like, what if they appear that way, but they got an amazing wholesaling business?
They're super happy.
Yeah.
And they're super happy about it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's possible. Yeah.
But I guess if they needed help, though, I'm like,
they probably wouldn't be.
What do they
reaching
do?
out.
Like, it's different for someone has a business or works like a contract job versus like a regular 9-to-5 job.
I mean, I think it's just it could be all walks of life, right? If you just want to be better, if you want to be a better husband, if you want to be a better father, if you want to be whatever your role is, I want to be a better business owner. I want to be a better employee. How can we? I mean, I think there's some accountability built in somewhere into that coaching program where, there are certain steps that you need to go through and be accountable to. It's just accounting. It's just accounting. That's it. There's something quantifiable about what you want to do, and you're just having somebody help you get there. Keep score. That's it. It's just keeping score.
Then why is it so daunting?
Because nobody wants to keep score, because it also means that if you're behind, you're losing.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't feel good to be told that you're losing.
I agree.
Okay. All right. Anything else on accountability?
No, I would say just accountability. I don't think that you can grow without it.
Yeah, I agree. So
Are we
We
getting
should-
accountability?
yeah, do
partners?
we want to implement accountability? Do
I
we
think
want to
there
grow?
are tools.
Does it have to be a person?
I mean, it could be a thing. What about if we just kept score?
Yeah.
I mean, and you just had it visual to other people that you cared about.
So if we put up like a whiteboard with all our names
Mm-hmm.
and we had to get tasks done,
Mm-hmm.
would that work?
Yeah, probably. That's an accountability tool. Sure.
So it doesn't just have to be like a person.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the good things about social media is that if you want to accomplish something, you should probably announce it to the world so that the world can hold you accountable to it.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Because once you put it out there, then you're like, oh dang, I better deliver because it's not going to feel very good if I don't.
Yeah.
That's
So
why
there's-
people get personal trainers. If you know someone's waiting for you at 7 a.m. on Monday, you got to be
Yeah.
pretty jerky to not show up and let that person
Ugh.
just sit there waiting for you. Like, that would feel horrible. So that's why you sign up for a personal trainer.
Or you build in like, hey, if you don't show up, it's going to hurt you financially. You're going to write $1,000 check or a $10,000 check.
Mm.
Or when we were in, doing accountability pretty heavily, like, hey, my biggest competitor, you have the permission to write them a $5,000 check if I don't hit my goals.
What do you mean?
Let's say another real estate agent in the marketplace, like your competitor, like the person that you're trying to beat, right? You can write, I'm going to write you a $5,000 check and you keep it. And if I don't either show up or hit my goals, you send that check to them.
Ew.
Yes.
Yeah, you want the consequence to be huge if you don't hit your goal. You want it to hurt,
Mm-hmm.
either financially or emotionally or something. Like, it's got to hurt. Like, hit you in the gut.
Now you got me thinking.
It's one of those quiet podcasts.
Yeah, this
and
is
it's
a lot of
to
awkward
think about.
silence.
Well, it's a lot of thought.
It is.
And it's a lot of self-reflection, and self-reflection is never fun. And I think that whole phrase of, are you happy when you look in the mirror, or have you tricked yourself into looking around or just looking at the surface when you look in the mirror? And I think that that's never a fun.
No, it's not.
And I think that it's, again, like we talked about in our first podcast with growth, it's ongoing. Like, accountability gets you to places, and then you start again and you start again and you start again. And I think so many people, either in business or just in life, think that there is this magic finish line. And there just isn't. And you can never stop. And I think that that's why there's silence, because you bring up good points and you really start to dive into, well, I thought I was being accountable and I thought I was on track, but maybe I'm not. And having those talks with yourself is always hard. So talk to yourself, look yourself in the mirror, and decide, do you need more accountability or not? And if you think that you do, in order to get where it is you want to go, then find somebody who's going to help you get there.
That's it.
Because you can't do it alone. I know that for a fact.
And keep that rule. That suggestion you had was, don't have it be a spouse. Don't have it be somebody close to you. Because there's going to be times where it's going to be like, hey, I didn't hit my goal. And they're going to be, well, it's okay. It's okay. Because they love you.
Yeah. And
they don't want to see you hurt in any way. But that's not the purpose of an accountability partner. It's to hold you accountable.
And we're happy to be that for anybody who's listening and might need one.
And I'm sure you don't want me as your accountability partner.
You'll really like fun Monday mornings with Ruben.
Yeah.
I'm really not that bad.
Thank you all for listening.
All right, see you next time.